I'm Rexxy Rocker, sexiest raccoon in the meta, and here we have possibly the most talented. Rezzy, thank you so much for coming by.
Yo, what's up, man? No problem. I'm
Wonderful
glad to be
have
here.
you. We're all big fans of you on the show. How would you like to tell my audience a little of what you do, although I'm sure most of them know about you already?
Well, I make up weird songs on the spot usually. I just whatever suggestion I can get. Here I mostly take words, but a lot of times I'll just go off of anything really, and then I just make up whatever I think sounds funny. Really, I mean, I get into the music part. I really do want the music part to sound good, but you know, when I get to the lyrics and sometimes I just like to inject as much funny sound and stuff as I can because I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. So
Now, how much of your songs would you say are the equipment as opposed to like your skill as far as your beatboxing and that?
well, I can't do it without the equipment. I mean, the equipment is the I need to have the loop factor, but but the equipment can't do anything without you feeding it something, right? So
Right.
you know, I just I used to make beats. I used to be in music, in chorus and stuff, and I've just always been like musically interested, and so I am just able to come up with you know, melodies and try to keep them all in scale and tune, and you know, just make sure it all fits together while it's coming out. So there's
That's awesome.
certainly a big freestyle improv element to it. Since I'm not playing any keys and it's just you know, my voice, it's you know, I don't got to worry about the mechanical part. I just got to make sure it's coming out in tune, you know.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I am also a choir kid. Can I take a guess? Baritone?
I was in tenor. I was in tenor.
Tenor.
But then they wanted to put me in bass, but they didn't know I could, that my voice, when we're singing, the chorus director put me in to they put me in tenor, but like he heard that I can hit deeper notes and he wanted to move me down, you know, but he never did it.
Yeah.
So I just ended up staying in the same spot, and I don't know why they did that, because I honestly felt like I was struggling to hit the higher notes that people in the same section as I was were hitting. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. See, I did chorus in high school.
Similar issue before they finally dropped me down to baritone. Just
Yeah, I did chorus in middle school, high school, a little bit, like 1 year in high school, and then I you know, I got into partying and all that stuff. Whatever, I didn't even care about that stuff anymore. Then I did it like for 2 years in college, and that's been a long time ago, man. So, you know, so I can't even remember what my part. I can't even remember what the section I was in was called. So
college
was wild.
a couple decades ago.
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably,
when
yeah.
did you start getting into improv and kind of start mixing that improv skill in with your music?
Well, improv I got into. I was getting into it before I got into VR. I was starting to go to a class, but the class was so far away, so I was like, I just couldn't make it all the time when they wanted to do it. But I did it for about like a month or so, and then I got into VR, and I always make people laugh doing stupid stuff, and one of my friends, like, we were originally in Altspace, but then Altspace was shutting down. This was in 2017 when Altspace was shutting down. Clearly, a lot of people know that Altspace ended up lasting longer than that, but it shut down before it got sold to Microsoft. So we all came over to VR Chat, and there was an improv show going on, and a lot of my friends were recommending me to it, and I was just like, yeah, maybe. But then a year later, I did actually get into it, and I've been doing it ever since. So I've been doing it since about um, early 2018, I think, or maybe mid 2018. And then as far as it being involved in music, it definitely made it to where it's much easier to perform in front of people. But the music part, I think, just comes from me making beats and freestyling. A lot of freestyling with my friends growing up. Like we would just sit around and just get drunk and high and whatever, and rap. And we don't need to be under the influence, but sometimes we were, sometimes we weren't, and just freestyle for like hours and shit. And I didn't think that would translate into, when I got older, that I'd be using it so much.
What kind of equipment and programs do you use to make your music?
Well, to do what I do in my performance, all I use is it's called a loop. Well, it's a loop station. Mine specifically is called RC505. There's two versions of it. They have the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. I had the Mark 2. I found I wasn't using all the features on it, so I just wanted that money back, so I just stuck with the Mark 1. I've been using the Mark 1 since I think 2019 now. Yeah, since 2019, or maybe 2020. Man, I can't believe I've been in VR so long that I can't even remember how long ago it's been, right? Like it's been that long that I can't remember what year I got my VR equipment in. But I got it because Altspace had Reggie Watts in there. They invited Reggie Watts. He's another loop station comedian guy. He didn't use a loop
Big
station
fan.
before, but same stuff. Yeah, and they brought him in there, and I won this contest to go up on stage with him and do improv with him, and I did like a little improv game with him, and it was cool. But I was a big fan of him already, so after I did that, I was like, man, I've been wanting to do that forever, like what he does. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So I just dropped like whatever money I had on the loop station, and I've just been performing ever since, doing that, and having a good time, having a good time doing it. It's gotten me like so many places. It's so many VR places. It's wild.
You're a
Ever
fairly
since
big
doing that.
name on VR. You've got a strong YouTube presence. I understand you've done things with Reggie Watts. You've done a contest.
Well, just that
where you met
improv
Mr.
contest.
Beast. Well, you've done things with Mr. Beast. I know that you did a VCAT show with Failed to Render recently.
That's all right.
You've done a lot of things involved in VR. You've done a few talent shows and some improv stuff. I know that you recently did a VCAT show with Failed to Render. You mentioned your event that you got to do with Reggie Watts. What would you say is the event that you're most proud of that you've done in VR?
Oh,
Or something that sticks out the most for you, that really highlights you as a VR name?
Well, I think. Well, it's got to be that talent show with Mr. Beast, because I don't know how. Yeah, Mr. Beast had a talent show here in VR chat. The video I think is just called "I hosted a talent show in VR" or something. But that was such a big amount of pressure. Like the amount of pressure for that was like so enormous, because there was $50,000 on the line, and at the time, I was still in debt. Like I was still in I still had my college debt, which I'm out of now, thankfully. But I still had my college debt, and I was just thinking, man, if I could just get out of college, my debt for school, whatever, I'd have so much more money and everything be all right. Because my money wasn't actually very good back then. I mean, I wasn't working but yeah, I was just thinking, man, if I could just win this, this could turn everything around. Things are good now, but I was like, this could turn everything around financially and whatever. And that amount of pressure was insane. So I learned a lot about myself at that event. I was like, okay, tons of fucking pressure. biggest fucking guy on YouTube in front of me and his whole crew and shit, and I was able to pop out that song, you know, like that I did there. That ended up like getting so many people over to my channel, and a lot of people found out about me then. You know, that that whole thing, I was like, okay, so I can handle the pressure, at least in VR. I can handle the pressure of like big names in front of me. I can come up with stuff under pressure. I can actually, like, I used to watch like performers on TV, and they're like, yeah, when you get under pressure and stuff, you use that energy, and you come up with something, or you do your performance, whatever. Just use that nervous energy. And I was like, damn, I actually did it. I actually use that nervous energy. I didn't think that was possible. I thought that I would just like break down and not be able to do anything. So I guess by then, if I still understood the main question, but I guess by then I was like, okay, I can do this, and I'm comfortable doing this, you know, like and so I just kept doing it. I just kept doing it, and it just kept opening, like I kept getting opportunities without looking for them, because people would just, they'd find me through that video, or they would or they'd be my friends and they'd happen to know about something going on and tell me about it, you know. So I've ended up working and being part of some really cool things because of that. So it's, you know, like obviously doing it at Failed to Render, and doing it like with the improv show, there's pressure there also, but it's like a lot of my friends and people that, you know, like you know what I mean? It's not Mr. Beast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, like
We're not the biggest
was,
name on YouTube. We're
yeah,
awesome,
like,
but
with the improv, because with the improv show, I had time to build up to being able to do that, to be able to perform in front of VR audiences, like Failed to Render. Like, I had a lot of practice performing in front of VR audiences where I don't exactly know everybody in the audience at it was called VR Chat Improv at the time. Then I started doing it at Failed to Render, and that was easy to transition to. I was a little scared at first because it is a little different audience, you know, than VR Chat was at the time. Now I think it's all meshed together, but you know, it was a little different audience, but still, I had friends in that audience. I knew the platform, and yeah, so maybe after the first, you know, just starting to do it, I was comfortable already. But yeah, I just wasn't aware how comfortable or how I could perform under immense pressure, you know, like that. And I blew my own mind with that, to be honest. So
yeah, Rezzy, why is it an absolute fact that raccoons are the best?
Well, the immediate thing is, if you just look at raccoons, they're the most adorable creature that has ever that God has ever formed, and threw down onto the earth and was like, "Here, enjoy looking at this." There's a lot of things you could enjoy looking at, but raccoons are one of the most beautiful things you could enjoy looking at, and you don't get to see them that often. They're always hiding from you. You know, they're a rare sight. So when you finally do get to see one, you're always like, "Oh, that's a raccoon." You know, you're not like that with dogs. I mean, well, people are like that with dogs, but it's overblown with dogs, because you can see dogs anywhere. You go somewhere, you see a dog, and you're like, "Hey, it's a cute dog." Or you might be busy, and you might be like, "Oh yeah, it was a cute dog, whatever, I gotta go do something." But if you see a raccoon, you're gonna tell somebody. You're gonna be like, "Yo, I just saw a raccoon like out there at the back." Or you're gonna be like, "Oh shit, I was driving and I saw 3 raccoons run across the street on their hind legs." Or you'll say like, "Oh man, there was a wine bottle all the way by the front gate, and I figured it must have been a raccoon, because what else would have dug in my trash and been able to pull something out and try to get it somewhere, but couldn't fit it through the hole when it was trying to go back to its den, and it got it stuck on a fence, and the raccoons were just trying to get drunk, but they didn't even realize that all the stuff inside of the wine bottle had already turned into that weird black crumbly stuff that wine turns into when you leave it sit in the fridge too long. But they thought it might have been wine, so they were gonna go back home and get drunk, and they couldn't, because their little hands, they couldn't figure out how to maneuver it to get it out of the gate." Anyway, you're not going to say all that. If you see a dog, you won't have that much information. There's just so much more
Sure.
that happens with a
It's just
raccoon.
a
They got a
dog.
much more yeah.
Would you like to let my audience know where can they find you to get more of you?
Ah, youtube.com/Resnauv. That's Resnauv. youtube.com/Resnauv.
And of course, every once in a while, Failed to Render will have Rezzy on the show.
Definitely. Failed to Render is one of the main places. I would say failed to render is one of the main places, and also I'm getting back into DJing again, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that. So we'll see where that goes. So yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for coming by, Rezzy. Thank everybody for watching, and of course, find Rezzy wherever he is on YouTube and whatever events he's doing. Check out Banter and check out VR Chat. And from me and all my friends to you and all of yours, you stay safe out there.
Bye-bye. Have a good one. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good middle of the day. Have a good lunch. Have a good shit if you're watching this on a toilet. Have a good piss. Well, people don't usually watch stuff while they're pissing. But maybe they do. I don't.
To each their own. I'm not here to yuck
To
nobody's
each their
yum.
own. The cameraman has a macaron thing on their neck. It's making me hungry.